Welcome back to my Degen crypto challenge where I'm trying to trade 5K into 50K by any means possible. In this video, I'm going to be buying 2 additional things. I'm going to be making 2 additions to the portfolio. But before we get to that, let's just briefly touch on the last purchase I made in the previous video, which was the Nothing token, which literally has no ticker symbol. Not much change, just slightly down. So if we actually look at the portfolio, you'll see that, yeah, we're down slightly on that position, which I put 500 into. Anyways, at this point, you may have already noticed that I have already added another position, and that is Jupe, the Jupiter token. So let's actually just talk about why I decided to add that here. For starters, I'm by no means a master of technical analysis and looking at charts, but I think that this one does actually look pretty good. And at its current price, it looks primed, in my opinion, if we actually run into an alt season. If you've ever interacted with pretty much any protocol on Solana, you've probably used Jupiter at some point or another. It's the biggest DEX aggregator, but also they have perps, they have staking, liquid staking, they have portfolio tracking, they have like a meme coin Degen app, they have pretty much everything. They make a lot of money in fees as well. And there's actually a lot of bullish catalysts that I think could actually launch this into the next level if we hit a true alt season. So some of those examples could be they just did an airdrop and there's not going to be another airdrop until 2026 in January. They just burned a huge percentage of the supply at the end of January. Also, the founder of Jupiter just announced today in the call that he is willing to lock up his personal allocation, which is like 280 million tokens, for up to 5 years, which in my opinion just shows an insane amount of buy-in to the project. One of the most bullish things for Jupe is that they just launched this buyback program, or rather it's going to be starting on Monday, and basically 50% of the revenues that they get from all of their products, swap fees and whatever, is going to be going to actually buying Jupe directly on Jupiter. And those tokens will be locked for 3+ years. So when you combine all that together with the fact that the chart looks pretty solid and that we may be entering into an alt season because the Bitcoin dominance chart is looking a little toppy, I think this could be a good play. Now, it might not be a 10x from here. If that was to happen, the FDV of this would be over $80 billion. However, I could easily see a situation where in a few months, this is at least a 3 to a 5x. And so that is why I initiated a position in the portfolio here. I put 1,000 of the amount that we started with into the Jupe token. This is also kind of a bit of a hedge against some of the more degen stuff that I'm going to be adding to the portfolio. And really what I added in the first episode, which was definitely a speculative play with the Nothing token. Now, for the second token that I'm going to add to this wallet, I really wanted to also pick up something in the AI infrastructure space. I did add this Nothing token, which is kind of tangentially related to AI, but is more of a meme and isn't actually an infrastructure play. And there's a few big ones. So there's Virtual, there's AI16Z, there's ARK, and then there's kind of this beta play, Ava, for Hollow World as well. Now, for the purposes of this challenge, I'm going to go with Virtuals. They're down 75% from their previous all-time high. It's been an absolute bloodbath in this space, but I think the risk reward on this trade is suitable because either the AI meta is actually still going to take off, in which case I think these guys will be well placed to capture a lot of value from that, or it was all just a giant meme and it's going nowhere anyways, in which case I don't think that the other options are necessarily going to do particularly better than Virtual. Virtuals also has some of the larger agents that have been launched by market cap to date, including the most famous one, which is AIXBT. The team is legit and the tech is legit as well. I'm not going to pretend like I have any idea of what is going on here, but at least they know how to make a nice little diagram. And when you trade on the Virtuals protocol app to buy and sell these different agents, you actually can trade in the Virtuals token. So it is the token of exchange as well by default. Now, some of these things are also true of the other platforms, the other competitors. So for example, ARK just launched their platform as well for new agents just the other day. That's why we saw a bit of this run up here. However, their launch today didn't actually go all that well. There were some issues with it, so I'm a little bit more cautious on ARK right now. I'm curious to see how this chart develops. We've got, of course, AI16Z. For this one, I'm also a little bit cautious because I think there's a little bit of key man risk with the personality behind the founder. And then I also have heard that they might have a branding issue. They might have to actually rebrand to something else because this is pretty much the same as A16Z, which is one of the biggest venture capital firms in the world. And so when they go through that rebranding process, I'm not sure how bullish that will be, how they'll handle it. Will they do like a burn to mint, or will they airdrop the new tokens? Anyways, it's kind of a bit of an unknown. And then Holo World, they don't actually have their own token yet, as far as I know. This is kind of like a beta exposure because it's the biggest agent that they've launched on their own platform. However, since it's not necessarily directly that infrastructure play, I'm a little bit more hesitant on this one as well. So yeah, that is my rationale for choosing virtual of the other options for the AI infrastructure play. I know there's other ones out there, but these were some of the ones I was more seriously considering. Now, the good thing about virtuals is also that they just recently bridged to Solana via wormhole. So I don't actually have to bridge over to Base to pick up this token. I can just buy it directly on Solana as like a wrapped virtual. So let's go ahead and put 500 into virtual and refresh the portfolio here. Okay, there we are. So now we have Jupe, virtual, and the nothing token in the portfolio. And I've weighted the least risky of these, in my opinion, with the highest allocation so far. But I think moving forward, we'll get a little bit further out on the risk spectrum. Something I actually did buy earlier in one of my other wallets was one of these CZ dog tokens, but this is super, super risky for sure. So we're not going full meme just yet. Although if I end up incurring some losses in this experiment, I might have to go even more degen to try and make it up. Anyways, in terms of how I go about trying to find new plays, there's a few useful tools that maybe you haven't seen yet. This one is called cookie.fund. And it basically gives you a little overview of the AI sector and what actually has mindshare right now on Twitter. And you can actually also track, like volume and price movement and stuff like that. Another very similar project is goatindex.ai. So I think these are pretty much interchangeable, these two projects. I don't know which one is technically better. And then I use either Dex Screener or Dex Tools, and potentially also bubble maps to determine whether or not a token is legit. If you've never used bubble maps, this is a great tool to see whether or not the supply of a token is super bundled, or if one or a small handful of wallets has a huge percentage of the supply. So this right here, I searched for this AI meme coin called Queen just to check out the distribution of supply. And this is a pretty good looking one. It doesn't have any major clusters, and there's no wallet that owns like 80% of the supply. A funny example actually is if we look at the official Trump token, take the contract address there, go back to bubble maps and look at this one. Look how different they look. Just the massive amount concentrated in one single wallet, 80% of the supply, which of course is owned by Donald Trump himself. So yeah, bubble maps is another great tool to have in your tool belt when you're trying to do a little bit of degenning. Anyways, yeah, just to finish it off here, this is another one that is on my watch list. It's called Queen, has a market cap right now of 22.6 million. But really, I should have bought this one when I first saw it a few days ago because it's already up 200% since then. But basically what this one is, it's an AI agent, but they make hilarious music videos and they just make fun of famous people in the crypto space or famous crypto Twitter personalities like the LA Vape Cabal. So I think what they're doing is pretty funny, and I guess the thesis on this one, if I do decide to add it, is that they continue making hilarious videos, they gather more mind share, and if they do so, the price goes up. I'm not 100% sold on this one though, so I'm not adding it to the portfolio today. I do think that it's funny, but I need to convince myself that it's gonna actually have staying power. They do actually have a website that they've modeled after Netflix where you can see all the videos that they've put out. So yeah, we have 3 positions in the portfolio right now. In terms of the total value, we basically haven't seen any movement, but it is early days. This is just week 1. So I am excited to see what happens. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. See you later.